Welcome to Nexus Edge, the show that helps you get an edge on your competition. I'm, of course, your esteemed host, Her, and we are coming to you live for some Season 9 analyst work. I think we're doing the Week 7 recap, is that correct? Of the NGS, Nexus Gaming Series. And we got some wild playoff implication matches to talk about today. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Ryokai, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Welcome back, Turd. I missed you, even though you were here last week, of course.
I was gonna say, what are you talking about? I was here last week.
Yeah, just gotta catch up with my buddy. Haven't seen him for only 1 week.
Yeah.
And let's see, Gila Shark. We played 2 matches. We won a series, close series. Tough. People called it a reverse sweep, but I don't know. It's a 3-game series. We lost the first game against Sky 5, so that was cool. We
I mean, I guess
took
it's
a match
technically a reverse
Yeah.
sweep, right?
I don't think that really, but we'll accept the notoriety of that, whatever it may be. So yeah, that was cool. We're the, I think, only team to have taken a match off them so far, so that was neat. I didn't know that going in, but we were pleasantly surprised, I guess, by that.
Right.
But then we lost after to Linehouse's team.
I'm about to say,
think?
I'm
Thursday,
unmuted for you guys
team?
right now, by the way. I'm
My
unmuted.
memory is very bad, so I'm sorry. But anyway.
No, Rio,
so yeah,
what's that name?
was
What's that team
unfortunate.
name? What's the team name, Rio? Just say it for me real quick.
Parsley, Snag, Rosemary, and Line.
Yes, thank you.
See, I can remember the team name because it's very memorable. But the losses I have mentally blocked out from the mental scarring that they inflicted upon me. Anyway.
Perfect.
Yep.
No,
So,
Nexus Cats have also kind of had a pretty good week. We've dropped only one map to kind of, in our estimation, kind of the third best team in our division. So we feel pretty good about that, going 2-1 against them. And then we had a really close series last night that Linehouse and Snag actually casted. So that was really close, but we were able to pull out the domination. So we're looking pretty. We got one more game to play in the regular season. And it's against a lower ranked opponent, so we're feeling good. And kind of the people in contention at the top kind of still have some really tough matches to go. So we're looking really good in Division D East, we think. Fingers crossed, we'll see what happens. But enough about us. We got 2 weeks, well, I guess 1.5 weeks at this point, just about, left until the playoffs. And I wish we had that GIF right there as the playoffs. We ain't talking about no stinking playoffs. Yeah, we could have if I said that earlier. But yeah, we got a week and a half. So we wanted to talk a little bit about kind of some matches that might have some playoff picture kind of implications. The race is heating up. Most teams have 3 to 4 games left to be played. I think we're kind of the exception to the rule with only one. Just by the nature of how teams typically procrastinate with their flex matches. So yeah, let's. I see that the current standings for Hero is is up there. So let's get right into it. Why don't you start us off with some heroic division discussion?
Of course. So heroic division. First of all, the main story of heroic division so far has been. We take these undefeated in heroic so far. Only team in NGS that's undefeated in not only matches but actual like game maps. Like they haven't dropped a single map. So
it's rare. It doesn't happen often in any NGS season.
Yep.
So that's
but our playoff implication sort of main matchup here to watch. There's actually 2, which is Quarantine versus Archon, and then Quarantine versus Quarantine Kappas. So that's a hard, almost a tongue twister there. Quarantine can play sort of a spoiler role here as far as playoff implications go. They're about to play the currently, I think, 8th and 9th place teams in the standings, and they have 13 points, and Archon, which is their first matchup on Wednesday, they only have 12 points. So they are 1 point ahead of them there. But obviously, if that series goes 2-1 in Archon's favor, they can be dead even. If Archon pulls out a domination, they could pull ahead. You know, that's going to be a very close race. And then the next night on Thursday, Quarantine is going to play Quarantine Kappas. So Archon and Quarantine Kappas both will play each other in Week 9. So they have a common opponent, and then they're going to have a showdown amongst themselves, fighting 8th and 9th for playoffs. It's going to be a race to the finish. It probably won't be decided until that Week 9 matchup, so that'll be exciting. Watch what goes down in that. It could be a complete chaos mess, whichever way it happens, and it should be good, exciting, nail-biting, cliffhanger, hots, storylines to keep track of.
Kind of fun. Yeah, and it even looks at, just looking at the standings again real quick. It looks like Give Us 20 is actually not even statistically eliminated quite yet, if I'm not mistaken. They have 10 points with 9 games played. So if they get a domination, they're actually tied with Quarantine Quappas, or however you say it. Kappas? Whatever. So definitely some interesting stuff going in Heroic. I really love what Heroic's doing this season, especially it seems like it's a very well, uh, what's the word? Very competitive, basically. And I think you'd agree, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think most of the divisions are probably the most competitive they've ever been. That sort of just like feels to be the case. I'm not sure if there's any statistical data to back that up. We probably look at that stuff more towards the end of the season, once playoffs are actually in like the final standings are sort of in place.
For sure.
But
I mean, from a teams dropping standpoint, I know we're pretty low this season. I think it's only been 6, and we could see that it's been 3 in Heroic.
I was going to say, unfortunately, 3 were all in Heroic, yeah, so that's a bit awkward there, but not much you can do.
The numbers are low, and that's it must be good for something, I guess. So let's move on. I see that there's some Division A stuff going on the screen, so let's keep talking and keep moving on. So for A East, we have a team that you're familiar with, Ryokai, Gilly Shark versus Party Time. Let me go ahead and pull up the standings just so I know what I'm talking about here. So this almost feels like a must-win for the eighth place team, Gilly Shark. And probably if you would have asked you guys in the start of the season, you probably wouldn't have seen yourself in this position right now in the 8th round, kind of fighting for a playoff berth here. But here we are. They have been, you guys have been inconsistent this season, partly due to their rotational roster. With 2 games left, and the other match will be against the first place Beast Coast. This could decide a playoff spot for them, or for you guys. Heroes of the United States and Insomnia are also trailing Gilly Shark with less games played, so they definitely have an opportunity to catch up here. And we did see just this afternoon, actually before this this broadcast, Beast Coast actually got dominated. I believe it was by. Was it Insomnia?
Yeah.
Insomnia, yeah. So definitely not helping Gilly Shark. What do you think about that?
We have been tracking ourselves and our playoff contention like certainty for the past, it feels like 3 weeks, and every week we're like, if we just do this, if we like 2-0 this team, we're guaranteed playoffs. And then we 2-1 that team, and we're like, okay, if we 2-0 this next team, we're guaranteed playoffs. And then we lose against Parsley team. Then now, okay, if we 2-0 Party Time, are we guaranteed playoffs then? I don't think it's the case now, so we're always just like, always just close, yeah. But we're still in the twilight zone of purgatory, uncertainty. There's technically a situation where we're not in playoffs if things go badly for us, and we're not in, I think, full control of our destiny and stuff. So, yeah. I agree with you that this feels like a must-win. We're feeling that way too. We want to get the playoff spot secured, and then move our sights onto the actual playoff teams and matchups and planning for that, and kind of be done with the uncertainty of the regular season. So
makes sense. No, definitely you don't want to be in a position where it's a must-win situation and kind of bottom of the 9th situation, 3 outs, worst batters up to bat kind of situation. So definitely
don't put me in the 9th inning. That's a bad idea.
Yeah, right. No, I don't think anyone wants to do that. Even a team as skilled as your roster. So, all right. Well, let's move on to A West. It looks like we have, and I'll pull that up again too. So this is one of our double round robin divisions, and I don't know that you guys have been following this along, but it's definitely been really, really interesting. It seems like all of the teams are really close. At least the top 3 teams are very, very, very close. But a game that we think is going to have some interesting playoff implications here is Phoenix Rising Ruby versus Regen Anomaly. And I guess that's being played tonight. So check your local listings or Goliath's hype message for the actual time there. But with only 4 teams qualified for playoffs in this double round robin division, Regen Anomaly is outside looking in. Their window is closing for a playoff berth, but if they can pull off an upset against Regen Rising Ruby this week, they may have a chance to catch up to Minion Miners and overtake them. Regen Anomaly is currently 5 points behind Minion Miner, and it looks like, according to the DB Smiley playoff projection records or whatever, they have something of a 4% playoff chance. So this is going to be interesting if they can actually pull it off. Crazier things have happened in NGS and in professional sports leagues everywhere. So don't count them out. I know Carve personally; he's a really good guy, and I think if anyone could do it, it's him and his team. But what do you think? Anything?
I mean, yeah, it's double round robin, so kind of a bit of an experiment here. Only 4 teams qualifying for playoffs makes those spots very coveted, more than they would be, and of course, there's rivalries of teams that you've been fighting all season long, now twice. That you're fighting against to get those playoff spots. So definitely some hotly contested stuff there. I mean, 4% is a chance. I think last season.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Pretty much. I think last season there was a team that made playoffs, and they were projected to have like an 11% chance or something. So, and then even in playoffs last season, we had 8 seeds beating 1 seed stuff. So, I don't know. Like I said, my general sentiment, feeling, wishy-washiness is that pretty much anybody can beat anybody this season, it feels like, except maybe in Heroic.
Well,
so
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what
anywhere
is gonna happen. So
one interesting wrinkle on this one, their playoffs actually have a week gap. So as far as I've been involved in NGS, there's never been a gap week between regular season and playoff. We always just go right into it. This will be the first time, so it'll kind of be interesting to see what happens. Are these teams going to be kind of scrambling to get some last-minute scrims? Maybe against teams that have been knocked out? Are they going to be trying to go up? Are they trying to go down? It's definitely going to be really interesting to see how that impacts or potentially impacts the 4 teams that do make it on. Go ahead.
The speaking as an A East team who is hoping to be in playoffs, if you're an A West team, please scrim us that week. We would love to scrim you. Please.
There you go.
I would love to give you some playoff scrim time slots so that you could be practiced and ready for your playoffs. That would be very generous of me to give to you.
So charitable. So charitable.
I'm in a giving mood, I'm just
Absolutely. Hey, so let's move on. Let's move on to B East here. Why don't you go ahead and break it down for us?
Sure. So B East here we have on Thursday, Uncomfortably Numb versus Boogan Squad. So Boogan Squad, I'm double checking. No, okay, they're not the team that I'm thinking of. Never mind. They pulled off an upset against Roomba Rotation last week, which definitely helped their push towards making playoffs. And they proceeded to drop some matches against House of Shay and the One Tricks, which is currently keeping them just barely out of playoffs at the 9th spot currently. But they've got 3 series left. They're playing Uncomfortably Numb, as mentioned. And that's probably their toughest opponent out of the 3. And so if they can get any points in this matchup, let alone obviously a win in the matchup or a domination would be ideal, that'll definitely help their shot at making playoffs pretty significantly. And hopefully that spells good fortune for their remaining matches on the other 2 series that they have left to play also. So
absolutely. And this is this is another, I mean, I feel like I'm just saying this at every single division, but this is another one where there is starting at Uncomfortably Numb in the 6th spot, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we count House of Shay and Bad by Design, 6, 7 teams potentially could be shaking up depending on how matches go. And, it'd be interesting to see if Bad by Design could make it into the playoffs. Currently sitting in the 12th spot. Can they jump 4 more spots? They have 3 more matches to go. I mean, it's going to be spicy. If there's ever a time to kind of tune into some casts and tune into what the wonderful casters and NGS are doing, I think it's now. You're likely to find an important match going on. So and Jordo Max in the chat saying Roomba rotations trying to help Bugin make the playoffs. And then some sort of Pepe frog face.
Generosity going all the way around NGS.
There you go. Very good time. Did you want to do B West or you want me to head on into that one?
Sure, I'll tackle it. So,
sure.
B West Spooky Ghosts versus Feigned Competence on Thursday. Spooky Ghosts is looking for their first possible playoffs in B West in, I think, 3 seasons now. They're currently sitting at 11th place, though, but they've got 4 matches left. So still some games to play. Definitely not out of the running yet. They are in control of their destiny. Obviously, 4 dominations or something, that can go a long way. So in terms of points. They're controlling their destiny, definitely. They've got to play Feigned Competence, who is currently 12th. They've got Nanode Abba, who's currently 10th, and Die Gaming, who's currently 9th. So these are not unwinnable matchups for them or anything. It's not a David versus Goliath. This is going to be a brawl. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be close games with people that are right in the running, right next to them, racing for that finish line. So if they can get some points, probably around 7 or 8, in that home stretch of games here, they've got a pretty good chance at making playoffs. So definitely tune into some of those games there.
Absolutely. And one other team I wanted to mention quickly, Avalanche Gaming currently has the lowest games played with 7. So they have a total of 5 games to go. That includes 3 flex matches in their round 8 and round 9 match. So, I mean, that could really go anywhere too. Once they start playing matches, I don't know their remaining strength of schedule off the top of my head. But things like that can, really implicate the playoff potential for some of these teams, including Die Gaming and Spooky Ghosts. So, all right, I will do some C East situation type stuff here. And this match we have is Team Tiny versus Death and Delay. And this match is going to happen on Thursday. I don't know the exact. It's going to be at 8 p.m. my time, so that's Central. So that'll be 9 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. Team Tiny and Death and Delay are currently in 7th and 8th place if the season were to end today. So they would both actually be making it. C East is another one of those really close divisions thus far, and 9th through 11th. So I'm saying it again. Still have a decent spot at making the playoffs. So teams that are currently still trying to get points to kind of secure those positions and those seedings in there. And I would say that's probably the same for the top 4 seeds with the 21 points, 20, 19, 19, right at the top there. According to DB Smiley's simulation, Death and Delay has around a 60% chance of making the playoffs, while Team Tiny is in the 80% range because they have more games left to be played. So this should be an interesting matchup. If either one of them gets a win, they could potentially knock out the opposite team from making the playoffs, depending on how that shakes out. So definitely a match to watch. Apparently the way I pronounced GIF or GIF was incorrect. I'm being corrected. I apologize for my barbarism. Yeah, my bad. Anyways, why don't you go ahead and do C West?
Sure. So C West here. Staple C West Can't Counterpick Stupid versus Respect the Goose. This is going to be on Saturday. Respect the Goose. They've now lost 3 in a row. So that is unfortunate in their home stretch of the season here. Meanwhile, Can't Counterpick Stupid has lost 2 of their last 3. So teams that are sort of maybe struggling to get over the finish line here, and you only have so many chances left, basically. Can't Counterpick Stupid currently sitting at 7th. They're trying to hold on to that playoff spot. They've got 2 matches left. And Respect the Goose is sitting at 10th, but they've got 4 matches left. So if they can, find their footing or whatever, even if they have sort of a higher chance of making playoffs, Can't Counterpick Stupid has a much lower margin of error here, being only 2 matches. And so both teams, they have winnable games left on the schedule. If they can get out of the slump and ride some momentum going into playoffs, that'll be good for them. One thing I was just going to mention, in terms of all these 6th, 7th, 8th type place teams here that are trying to make it in, or even 9th or 10th, is that not only do you want to watch these games because there's great storylines, there's great close hype matches going in that are going to be close. It's coming down to the wire. Both teams are going to give it their all and everything. Teams are probably not going to be hiding too much stuff for playoffs in these types of situations. And so you can also get really good scouting, even if you're a number 1 or 2 seed or whatever, because you're going to be playing the 7 or the 8th seed probably in those first weeks. So yeah, definitely good to not only watch for the entertainment, but also some last-minute scouting info to get some preliminary plans going in there. So
no, and I've seen it in our own division, which is coming up next. So it's a good segue here. I feel like some teams kind of turn it on at the end there. So you might have played the team week 1, week 2, week 3, but they're a different team now in week 9, week 8. So definitely something to watch out for, especially. And I think, moving on to our next discussion here in D East, we have a team that has done just that, Frankfurters. So one thing about Frankfurters, and they'll be the first to admit that, is they've spent a lot of this season playing League of Legends, which if you're new to NGS is not the game that we play in NGS. So I think that they had a little bit of some hiccups early on, maybe difficulties transitioning back to being able to mount, things like that, not having to worry about gold. Those are differences. But specifically, Frankfurters versus Church of Murky, and I believe Frankfurters versus Dirk Throws these, both matches that are going to help Frankfurters potentially make it into the playoffs, make it for that 8th seed. I think DB Smiley, and I see he's in chat, he can correct me if I'm wrong, I think he gave them a 1% chance of making playoffs at this point. So kind of the outside dark horse here, but they still have lots of matches to go. Unfortunately, these 2 matches are probably going to be some of their tougher ones. Church of Murky is nothing to sneeze at, and neither is Dirk Throws these. That was our opponent last night. And Key acknowledges that this is definitely one of the long shots for the day. If there's a team that we've mentioned, this might be one of them that potentially does not make it 99% of the time, right? Last season, Frankfurters pulled off an upset in the 3-6 matchup. I think that they beat the 1st seed and the 6th seed. This season thus far, they only have 7 points in 8 games. Definitely, it's almost like the tale of 2 cities, tale of 2 teams here, based on 2 seasons. They have been in close series most of the season, including our own, and they are certainly capable of putting it together and putting together a run here with the last couple of matches. I think last week they had 4 matches to play, and they played them all, and I think they got several wins. They're definitely going to need some help from other teams, though, if they're going to make the playoffs. Part of that 1%, DB Smiley corrected me, 3 to 5% chance. So part of that is going to be other teams that are ahead of them losing. So if you're Frankfurters in the situation, you might be a little worried, but definitely we think that their matches are worth watching and something that you want to check out. Because if they pull it off, they're going to pull it off. And like you said, if you're a 1st place or 2nd place team, this is a team that is kind of putting on the afterburners here to make it in the playoffs, where, maybe, Nexus Cats and XGD are kind of relaxing a little bit. They're solidly in the playoffs. Bunker Fun Time, Church of Murky, solidly in the playoffs. Don't have to do as much intense scouting, whereas Frankfurt is going to keep that up. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. And I've been talking too much about Div D East, so why don't you talk about Div D West?
Sure. Well, I don't think many D East teams are going to be fooled by your apparent lackadaisical lack of scouting. But good luck in playoffs regardless, I guess.
Yeah. I tried, man. I tried, okay?
All right, moving on. In D West, Psystorm versus Cool Cats and Kittens. This is going to be on Wednesday. And then also Bloodbath and Beyond on Saturday. So the last playoff spot in D West is pretty much coming down to Psystorm or Choo Choo Boys. And Psystorm is currently 3 points behind. Both of these teams have 4 matches left and common opponents between them. So it's a straight up race at that point. Straight up, basically a 1v1. It's going to come down to which teams get the wins and which teams don't. So it's time to put everything. I know I'm saying a lot of obvious here, but trying to drive the point home. Everything they've learned up to the season this point, all the past weeks, You got to put into action now. This is where it counts. So, yeah, if you fall behind, it's going to be hard to catch up.
Absolutely.
That's all I got.
And last division here, I'll bring it down really quickly. Division E. So this is our last of the four seeds moving on. This team will actually have their grand finals in week 2 of the playoffs. So the very first division to see a playoff or a grand finals match. So keep tuned for that because that's just coming up. But the teams we want to talk about today, Fredonia versus Phoenix Rising Amethyst. And they're playing on Thursday. Looks like 8 p.m. my time, so 9 p.m. Eastern. Fredonia is definitely on the outside looking in. They still have a chance, or they still have to play the top 2 teams. So that's definitely something you don't want to be doing in that situation. But if they want a chance to make the playoff, this match against Phoenix Rising Amethyst is a must win for them. And that's all we got. That's it. We've done it. We talked about every division, playoff chances, what's going on, who to watch. So, yeah, we have one more segment we want to talk about. It's not going to be a bronze or GM. We're going to do a quick, the patch just dropped yesterday. It seems like it was it's a good time to discuss it. There were some issues or some rumblings, we'll say. So let's start at the top. So first thing that we have big news of, new hero. So the first one since Deathwing, and that's going to be May. So what do you think about that, Ryokai?
My initial thought upon hearing the teasers and not really leaks, but like the community
hypothesis.
Sure, that's a great term for it. I was less than excited. I was quite worried because I was like, there's Frostbolt, there's Force Ball, there's Blizzard already in the game, and there's Ice Block, and I don't want to just play the same hero on the same kit using the same abilities again. But then they released her, and they actually made the kit really unique and interesting. And now I'm like, okay, Linehouse is very upset. Okay, it's maybe unique isn't the right term. It's not super unique.
What?
Okay, no.
Go ahead. Yeah.
It's okay. The kit is not what I expected from her Overwatch kit. Let me put it that way. It's not a direct like one-to-one copy.
I think that's fair.
They actually changed and made new stuff, so that was good. They didn't just copy Force Wall. They didn't just make Ice Block. I mean, they kind of did, but it's a little bit different. And she seems like she'll be strong. That's basically, I think she's going to be strong because she has a whole bunch of CC and slows and stuff, and she looks really good. I wouldn't say that I'm excited. I like her skin a lot, by the way. That was cool.
Like her alternative skins?
Yeah. Thumbs up for pajamas. Pajamas are dope. But yeah, I'm not excited, but I'm also not as worried anymore. I'm just kind of like, cool. May's all right. I'm down.
I think she's entering into a very healthy tank meta. And I think she'll be competitive. I don't know that. I mean, I think the calls originally were that she's going to be OP. And sorry, I do want to mention this before we get too far upfield. Ogle the Great, of course, subscribing to the NGS Twitch. Thank you very much. Using his Twitch Prime. If any of you others out there have Twitch Prime, consider using it for NGS. We certainly appreciate it. And now getting back to and Snags laughing at me, healthy tank meta. I just think that there's several things that are popular, strong, similarly strength, and I think May is going to fit really well right into that group. I am concerned about her. I think it's Avalanche is her. Yeah, it's her first arm. Yeah, I've seen people being able to actually avalanche backwards through your wall. That seems no bueno to me. I would like to see that fixed, that if it hits like terrain, it like explodes or something, like it stops right there in its track. I was thinking, I said this in the Beatbox chat about Willump and Nunu from League of Legends. They have a similar snowball type mechanic. It doesn't catch people in it and go, but once it hits someone, it explodes. And part of that is it doesn't cross through terrain or walls. So that was something I would have liked to see. And maybe that's a change that'll happen between now and going live. So who knows?
Here's my conspiracy theory tinfoil hat hypothesis for now that I just came up with on the spot. So you might not be familiar with this, but for the people who are playing League of Legends, like Frank Sfert is, of course, The Nunu has his snowball thing, but there's a bug that's been like persistent since they reworked him and gave him the snowball, where he comes from the fog of war to gank you, and the snowball and Nunu are just completely invisible.
Really?
Yes.
I was a Nunu main, but I didn't know of this bug.
All right,
Maybe that's why I was getting so
you're a
good
dirty
with
bug
it.
abuser. That's what you are. Okay. Anyway, so what if I know this is a great segue into the weather stuff. What if they made the stealth weather effect just because they had the same bug and couldn't fix it in HOTS?
Okay. I'm gonna
The
have to ask you to put away
Illuminati,
your
whatever,
tinfoil hat.
X-Files music playing. Yeah, great.
But yeah, like you said, this is a really good segue to talk about
Segue
the next Nexus anomaly. And of course, it actually seems unlike the XP anomaly, which has remained for now 2. Yeah, the tower changes actually reverted a little bit. My understanding is that their aggro, the tower is no longer going to draw aggro like it was, but the fort, the keeps, and the core will continue to prioritize enemy heroes that attack heroes within their range. And I don't think that they've retained the negative armor debuff. So is there any kind of debuff when you get hit by a tower or from a thing? Fort keep?
I don't think it's clear from the patch notes. Maybe it is. I would have to reword them. My reading was I think the forts and the keeps still have the armor debuff, but the towers don't.
Well,
that was my reading as well.
Does.
By the way,
Lineout is saying
everyone
that's
can
his
hear
reading.
me. So yeah, my reading as well was that the tower is reverted pretty much back to normal, and everything else retains the new system. Right.
Minus the armor debuff situation.
Right.
Got it.
Just now at -20 instead of 40, which was.
Yeah, I haven't really looked too much into that because talking about the next Nexus anomaly, which I'm skeptical, and I think some other people are also skeptical, and maybe you're one of them, Ryokai. It's going to be weather effect, random number generated weather effects. And our friend Crosby actually went through, and apparently it's randomly generated between 2 and 3 minutes each between. That's the interval between each one. I don't. Is it 2 to 3 minutes on, 2 to 3 minutes off, 2 to 3 minutes on? Is that how it works?
I think they only last like 40 seconds.
Okay.
Or maybe they only last 40 seconds after the 2 minutes timer? I don't.
You're thinking of the stealth and getting at, yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
Whatever. It's on the PTR now. Look, my first impression, I looked at it from a competitive NGS perspective, I wasn't a fan. I think it's adding the wrong type of RNG to the game. It just seems kind of out of left field. I don't know what it's trying to fix or what it's trying to encourage players to do. It seems fun, but leave the fun in unranked and QM. Like that's already fun. Brawl even. Do weather effects, random weather effects for all the brawl matches. Perfect, great. But for ranked, I'm not a huge fan. What do you think, Ryokai?
I'm not a huge fan. Pretty much all the same reasons that you already spoke on. So, well done, GM opinion of the day there. Yeah, it worries me.
Yeah, and I know there was some discussion in our chat. We're hoping that maybe you can turn them off for custom matches.
If that's not in the game, I don't even know that I would want to try and play NGS or something, depending on how bad it is. But that's my initial impression is that I'm really gonna hate it. And
yeah,
I thought I was gonna dislike stuff. I thought I was gonna dislike the core stuff, but I always thought I would be yeah, this is kind of annoying and I dislike it. But it's such a small part of the game. It's the core. It's you're winning the game in 10 seconds anyway. It's it doesn't affect me that much. This is I'm gonna be annoyed by this from minute 2 until minute whatever I win the game.
Until you win the game,
basically. Yeah. And I'm probably still gonna hate it if I'm losing. It's not really a comeback mechanic even. I don't understand what it's there for.
Right.
It seems just kind of
just there.
There.
Go ahead.
So I look forward to the cast getting bogged down like crazy by these anomalies, by the weather effects.
Oh yeah. The particle effects got to be.
Yeah, the particle effects I think are going to really bog down casts. I think it's going to chug some people's computers.
I could see that. Absolutely.
Well, and I don't want to be in situations where it's okay, we wiped their team, we could be going on the core or whatever, but it's maybe we can't end on the core. It might be close. It might, they might defend the core. It's at 10%.
Right. The
Oh,
snow's
now
up
we
and someone
now we
lived
threw.
and they have all the
But
stacks.
if we hold the objective, even though we just wiped their whole team, and we know the timer of the weather is coming in like 15 seconds, we just hold the objective for like 50. You're just sitting there AFK for like 20 seconds to wait for a weather
Yeah. Yeah, to get the benefit of like the lightning effect, for example.
so that you can race court. Like, please no,
Yeah.
please no, just don't, just do something else, anything else.
And I know the community is typically outspoken when these changes are kind of announced, but it seemed like my review of Reddit on this was most people were fairly unhappy with it. So we'll see if maybe there's some changes between now and when it goes live.
There's a ton of bugs too right now, right?
Yeah,
That we're
there's
finding
also a
right
lot
now,
of
right?
bugs. Both
Like
lot
I
of
with
think I
May
read, I
and
saw one with
other stuff.
Medivh can get the lightning shield, go into Raven form,
Oh, in
and
bird
deal
form.
damage. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that shouldn't happen.
yeah.
No.
Hmm. Hmm.
So definitely, and the last thing we want to mention on these patch notes, I guess it's considered a rework, but Mal'Ganis has received a quote unquote rework. Um, I don't think we need to talk about it too much. I don't think a whole lot's changed. We were talking before the show. Our tank player feels like they've kind of moved him to a lifesteal tank, which I don't think is part of that healthy tank meta. I think he kind of underwhelming now.
Well, I
But
feel like he was already kind of a lifesteal tank.
yeah, I guess.
It feels like he does more damage now, which, like, sure.
So maybe helps his lifestyle. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. They called it a rework. It seems like it's just like a change, I guess. It may even say slightly nerf the base kit. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
I'm not a tank player, so I can't really speak much in terms of
Are you
in-depth.
alive? Am I alive?
Are any of us alive? Hello?
We're alive. What's wrong?
I'm here. Are you back?
Lost
Can
you.
you hear me? Well, Ter's just dancing. All right.
well.
This is
I
how
can't
the
hear
show's going.
you.
Okay.
So that's the show.
Wow,
I will try
Turt's
to-
gone.
Over.
Rejoin the call.
I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye, or let you say goodbye.
Everything's
So
going to
Ryokai,
hell.
say goodbye right now.
Am I back? Hello?
Discord's dying. All right.
All right, great.
Everyone, thanks for tuning in the show.
Can't
I'm just
hear
gonna
me
end it.
now.
I'm gonna end it. I'll see.
Well, anyways,
wait.
I
Is
think
Turd
I'll just
back?
end it for realsies.
There we go.
I can't hear a single person. All right, guys, I would like to thank my co-host, Ryokai. I would also like to thank Linehouse, our executive producer, who you've heard a couple times today, Key, our head analyst, who helped us with our playoff matches, and also Phalendrith for keeping Stats of the Storm updated and taking care of some of the minor bugs that occur with the way Blizzard changes things. So this is Turd here saying adios, amigos. Remember to always stay safe in the Nexus and take your hots to the edge.